I was diagnosed with juvenile arthritis in the summer of 1994. At that time, NIAMS was approaching its 8th birthday. I was approaching my 3rd. So to give you a little timeline, my parents were afraid that I wouldn't be able to live the life of an average child. On top of the average, or normal concerns that parents have for their 2-year-olds, my parents had to deal with not knowing if I would be walking or in a wheelchair a year from then. Thanks to the medication available, I avoided that fate, but I still live with my arthritis daily. That summer, I started almost immediately on methotrexate, which has been mentioned before. It's a chemotherapy medication that alters DNA replication and is used in low doses to treat arthritis. The exact reason why it works is not really known, but it's been working for me for 17 years, so I don't question it. In the mid-1990s, that was considered a very aggressive treatment for patients. But it's thanks to that methotrexate that I'm up here today, in heels no less, standing in front of you all rather than sitting in a wheelchair. And I've been able to live a pretty normal life, considering. So for the next 9 years, my parents and my doctor and I, when I was old enough to really understand what was going on, experimented with the methotrexate doses, and we supplemented it with daily ibuprofen. I was on extreme amounts, and it's a miracle I don't have stomach ulcers today, and the occasional stint on prednisone, which I like to say is the reason I'm so short, because it stunts growth, and my sister is taller than me. She's been taller since she was 12, so I would like to accredit that to the prednisone and not my genes. And so over the course of almost a decade, we watched as my arthritis was on a roller coaster. Most of the time, I was able to participate in the same things as my peers. I did gymnastics recreationally. I did a club soccer team through elementary and high school. But there were days and months at a time when I was nearly immobilized due to the pain and inflammation. Particularly one couple month stint when I was in 1st grade, my mom was handwriting all of my homework for me. I was dictating, and then I'd come home from school so fatigued from the arthritis that I would fall asleep on the couch almost immediately. So during this time when my joints were on a roller coaster, the first biologic medicines were being approved for use in children. So shortly before my 11th birthday, my parents, doctors, and I decided to try the medicine because the methotrexate was giving me so many issues with my liver that we decided to see what else was out there. It is my belief that medication is the reason I was able to walk up here today. Without it, my middle school and high school experiences would have been wildly different. I would have been the kid in the wheelchair who was wheeled across the stage of graduation instead of walking across. In the fall of 2002, this was before I started the biologic medication, there were days when I could hardly walk. Even though I was still on the soccer team, my coach knew to only play me for 10 minutes at a time and then take me out immediately. And I hated it, but I knew that was what I had to do. By the following January, in 2003, my classmates' parents thought I had been cured. That is how extreme the difference was in how I was moving. I could run for whole periods. My parents were still wary of letting me play, but I just felt so much better than I had ever had in my entire life. I was more capable of doing my daily tasks. So I continued to play soccer until I started high school. To give you an idea of how much I have improved, I came home one day, freshman year of high school, and announced that I was going to go out to the track team. Not only to the track team, but I was going to try to pole vault. It gets better. So my mom was overly confident, I think, at the time, and she said, "You can do it if your rheumatologist approves of it." So we called him up, and I think my mother still regrets that decision because he was like, "Sure, I don't have a problem with it. As long as she can move, she can pole vault." So I did. I was a pole vaulter all through high school. I was by no means a track star. I never could vault the 10 feet that some of the other girls on the team were. I barely got over 6 feet. But the fact that I was out there doing it with all the joint damages that I have is a huge testament to the medications and all the research that went into the medications that I've been on. My parents were concerned about it because, regardless of the fact that it's a dangerous sport for anyone, I have weak ankles and, joint damage everywhere. But I was able to do the things that I could because of the medication that I was on. It's because of these researches that I am able to live the life that I love now. I just finished my first year of college. I'm pursuing a nursing degree at York College in Southern Pennsylvania. And I have to go to the hospital once a month for infusions. And other than that, I am your normal college student. I didn't like my roommate. I didn't like the food at the dining hall. I pledged a sorority, and I would stay up half the night writing papers, doing 6 hours. All the things I've accomplished in my life are as a result of medical research. Without the biologic medicines that I've depended on for almost half my life, I would be, I and thousands of children will be permanently wheelchair bound and unable to live the lives that they love. I've been lucky enough to see kids, only 2 years younger than me, completely avoid the mystery years that I had when I was younger. Kids that I, who are, only 15, already know that their joints are in thousands times better condition than mine ever were. I've been able to live my life to the fullest. I've done so many things that I wouldn't be able to otherwise. Medications gave me back so much of what my parents feared I would lose. And, that summer of 1994, they never knew it was going to happen. But we can look back on it now, say that it was an unfortunate, dark time, and now I have improved beyond our wildest dreams. And for that, I am extremely grateful.